Welcome to 1000 PS. Today we're taking a look at a motorcycle that for many is the very definition of pure riding fun, the Ducati Hypermotard V2. 20 years after the very first prototype, Ducati is now launching the fourth generation of this legendary supermoto. It's meant to be lighter, more compact and even more direct. And what's behind all that, we'll find out in this video. The first Ducati Hypermotard came out in 2005, fittingly unveiled at the EICMA, where it already won the title Best of Show. Since then, the name Hypermotard has stood for one thing above all: maximum emotion on two wheels. Now, 20 years later, Ducati wants to redefine exactly that feeling. The new Hypermotard V2 is not just a facelift of the previous generation, no, it's built on a completely new technical platform with a new frame, a new engine and a revised geometry. Ducati says, unsurprisingly, that their goal was to build the best hypermotard ever. Well, of course, you'd expect the manufacturer to say that, but what it actually means in practice, that's what we're going to find out. Let's start with the most obvious part, the design. It's clearly a homage to the original from 2005. You can immediately recognize the DNA, those high distinctive lines. Then there are those characteristic side wings on the tank and that freestanding, almost floating rear light. That's pure emotion. At the same time though, the new Hypermotard also looks more modern and futuristic. The lines are sharper and especially the front, even if you glance back at the old Hypermotard, looks, I'd say, almost robotic with that slim twin headlight design, LED daytime running lights in that typical double C shape. And of course, there'll also be an SP version, which visually takes things up another notch. It wears the exclusive anniversary paint scheme, golden suspension components, white forged wheels and loads of carbon fiber, for example, on the front mudguard. And yes, that already looks seriously cool. But now let's get to the technical side. As we said, the new Ducati Hypermotard V2 is meant to be better, faster and more capable. At its heart sits the completely new Ducati V2 engine with 890 cubic centimeters of displacement. It replaces the previous Testa Stretta 11-degree unit and is a full 6 kilograms lighter. At 54.4 kilograms, it's the lightest twin-cylinder engine Ducati has ever built, at least according to the manufacturer. Power output stands at 120 horsepower at 10,750 revolutions per minute. Torque is 94 Newton meters at 8,200, and the key thing, according to Ducati, is that 70% of that torque is already available from 3,000 revs, so you get a strong punch right from the bottom. That means in terms of performance, it's not chasing peak power, but for a fun bike like this, that's perfectly fine. It's meant to deliver maximum joy on twisty country roads, and those 120 horsepower are spot on for that. Throttle response is said to be sharper for 2026, gearing shorter, and the overall character more aggressive but still easier to handle than before. And for beginners, there's good news too. The engine will also be available in a 35 kilowatt version. That means you can restrict it for the A2 license, and there's more good news when it comes to maintenance too. Valve clearance checks are only required every 45,000 kilometers. Not only is the engine completely new, but so is the chassis. Ducati is using an aluminium monocoque frame here, which also serves as the airbox. That's what Ducati says in their press release. I can't quite picture how that works myself, but I'm sure the colleagues who are at the EICMA will take a closer look and explain it in detail in one of their special videos. Anyway, this whole setup with the airbox integrated into the frame is supposed to save weight and make the bike more compact. Speaking of weight, how much does the new Hypermotard weigh? 177 kilograms dry, so that's without fluids. But back to the frame. The engine acts as a stressed member, and the steel tube rear frame is deliberately reminiscent of the very first Hypermotard model. The new aluminium double-sided swing arm is conceptually derived from the Panigale V4 family, where Ducati has now moved away from single-sided swing arms. In the standard version of the Hypermotard, a 46mm Kayaba fork works up front, and at the rear there's an adjustable Kayaba shock absorber. And typically for the SP version, it gets a 48mm Öhlins Nix 30 fork and an STX 46 shock. There's also a Sachs steering damper, which is standard on both versions. Also very important, the weight figures. We've got 180 kilograms ready to ride for the standard Hypermotard and 177 kilograms for the SP. These figures are, however, dry weights, meaning without fuel. When it comes to electronics, the Hypermotard V2 is right up there with the best. In true Ducati fashion, it's packed with tech. The foundation is a 6-axis IMU that measures all the motorcycle's movements. Based on that, the system manages the following rider aids: cornering ABS with 4 levels, Ducati traction control, Ducati wheelie control, engine brake control, and the new Quick Shifter 2.0. The SP version adds 2 more features borrowed from the racing models: Ducati Power Launch, that's launch control, and a pit limiter for use in the pit lane on the track. Everything is controlled via a new 5-inch TFT display, which you can operate using a new joystick on the left-hand switchgear. 4 riding modes come as standard: race, sport, road and wet. There are also 3 different info display modes: road, road pro and track. In track mode, the system shows you live data on the electronic interventions, something that's meant to remind you of the Panigale V4. So even though the Hypermotard is mainly a road bike, Ducati clearly wants to encourage riders, especially with the SP version, to take it out on the track now and then. Still, the Hypermotard remains true to its roots when it comes to riding position. Looking at the bike, it's tall and narrow, with a wide handlebar and plenty of room to move around. It's classic supermoto style, which is exactly the segment the Hypermotard sits in. Seat height is relatively tall too, at 880 mm. And the seat has also been reshaped compared with the previous version. It's meant to offer more grip than before, so that you've got plenty of hold when you're moving around in the saddle. Thanks to the new ergonomics, you now sit further forward with more pressure on the front, according to Ducati. That's supposed to give you more feedback and control, especially at the front wheel, where it really matters on a supermotard. There are also optional seat heights in the form of different seat units and other ergonomic accessories, so you can tailor the Hypermotard to your liking. Since we're talking about handling and ergonomics, we should also mention the suspension travel and the brakes. Braking performance comes courtesy of Brembo components, proper stuff. The standard V2 version uses M432 monoblock calipers and 320 mm discs. The SP version, on the other hand, gets M5 calipers combined with a PR1621 master cylinder, hardware straight from racing. The wheels, unsurprisingly, are 17 inches in diameter, fitted with Pirelli Diablo Rosso 4 tires in the standard version and Diablo Rosso 4 Corsa tires on the SP. For track use, you can even fit Diablo Superbike slicks. Ducati has specifically approved them for this model. And of course, when you start talking about slicks, Ducati's performance catalog can't be missing. Together with Terminioni, there are 2 exhaust options. One is a road-legal twin system with titanium sleeves and carbon end caps, a proper eye-catcher for the street. The other is a non-homologated racing exhaust, which delivers an extra 3.6 horsepower and saves 4 kilograms of weight. Ducati also offers a wide range of additional accessories, including carbon and billet aluminium parts, racing seats, and motard-style foot pegs. Basically everything a rider's heart could desire. On the electronic side, you can also upgrade with the Ducati multimedia system featuring navigation, Bluetooth and a USB port. So, to sum up, visually, the Hypermotard has taken a step back in time. If you look at the original from 2005, you can clearly see the family resemblance. The connection to the new Hypermotard 2026 is obvious. I personally really like the look. At the same time, Ducati has followed its classic philosophy, combining retro-inspired design with the most modern electronics and the latest engine technology. That means it's bound to ride absolutely brilliantly. As mentioned, there will be 2 versions available, the Standard and the SP. It's scheduled to arrive at European dealerships in April 2026. Unfortunately, I don't have the exact prices yet, but as soon as they're announced, I'll add them to the article linked below in the description. So that's everything about the new Ducati Hypermotard V2. As I said, our colleagues are on site at the EICMA, and I'm sure one of them will stop by the Hypermotard stand to give you some live impressions of how it feels in person. So stay tuned, subscribe to the channel for more EICMA updates, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching, see you soon, bye and take care.